All right,
Hello.
we're gonna get started
Should
here.
we? Yeah, let's go. Hello, good afternoon. How's everyone feeling? Yeah, come on in.
Yeah, we gotta get some more energy.
Yeah,
How's
come on.
everyone? Let's do it in 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. How's everyone
Feeling.
feeling?
I was gonna wait for you to count.
Oh, okay. 1, 2, 3.
How's everyone feeling?
All right.
Cool. We actually have a lot of people in here.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Hi, everybody. I'm Joyce Chen. I'm with the Mercury team, and you are.
Bryant, partner at Harlem Capital.
And we're here to talk today about where money meets mission. So, we're really going to dive into what Brandon thinks about capital and how it's raised, and also talk a little bit about alternative forms of capital. So, yeah, let's get into it. My first question to you, Brandon, is just, talk a little bit about yourself and what your thesis is at Harlem Capital.
Yes, of course. So originally from Cleveland, went to Ohio State for school, studied economics there. I actually met my business partners, Jared and Henri, 15 years ago as sophomores in college. IO, okay? That was awesome. Thank you. I really needed that. The three of us interned together in finance, and then we all moved to New York full time, lived in Harlem, were roommates, worked at the same investment banks. And Harlem Capital actually started through a group text. So the three of us and then three other buddies were all in New York just working in finance, and we had this group text where we just shared anything. We shared like bars to go to, memes, news, etc. And then eventually, like year 2, year 3 of doing banking, all of our friends had left banking and are starting new businesses or investing in real estate or doing this and doing that. And so that group text turned into deal flow. Then we realized, even though we were bankers on Wall Street, we didn't have a bunch of money yet. Mm-hmm. And so we had to team together to write checks into investing into these opportunities. And so we all just put in $10,000 each. And then when we invested that total of 60, 3 people just said, I'm out. And then it just left the 3 amigos, the 3 musketeers. And then we went from small business investing to real estate, and then eventually to early stage startups. And about year 2 or 3 after banking, we had the idea of like, hey, like why don't we take this full time? And so we've raised 2 funds since then.
And you're closing Fund 3.
About to be closing Fund 3.
Oh, sorry.
But 2 funds since then, $174 million across 2 funds, mainly doing seed investing, $1 to $3 million into seed rounds. I've done a lot of stuff in B2B, AI, etc. 8 folks full time at the fund, 3 in New York, 1 in Miami, and the rest are on the West Coast. And we're just super excited to back the next generation of founders who are winning and dominating markets. That's all we're focused on. And if you're doing that, we would love to talk to you.
I love that you started with $10,000 in seed capital.
Small dollars.
You start from somewhere, right? And now you're at that. And you said you have 175 million assets under management.
Yes.
That's yeah, that's pretty big
Good
growth.
numbers. Good numbers.
Yeah. I don't know what that multiple is. That's, I would say, a lot.
I hope that the multiples will be even more.
So I want to start us off with a hot take, a spicy take.
Yes.
What do you think is the most overrated tech company right now?
Yes, the most overrated. I'm going to take this a little further. I have a hot take in general.
Yes, please.
My hot take in general, like I love AI, but like everyone's living, breathing, smoking, drinking AI right now. Injecting, literally.
Yeah.
And the Kool-Aid is so warm, it's so sugary, like everyone's got cavities, and then there's like probably diseases coming from it. And I think that when a technology like this takes over, there's going to be potential bad actors. And those bad actors are going to be people who have a bunch of power and have taken over some things, and then they're going to think that they got too big for their britches. This happened in crypto with SBF and many other folks, bad actors, and they had to get washed out. We had a crypto winner. So my hot take is that, like, while everything does look like a hockey stick right now and everything does look up and to the right, I do think that we don't know what we don't know specifically about these AI models that are actually way more. They're like 1,000 times already smarter than a human being. And that was like last year. So this year it might be even more smarter. So people are going to make decisions that are hurting other folks And I think that could create some type of AI winter. But I think that would be good for us. That would be good for us to reset, level set, and new technologies, new innovations, new opportunities will come out of that, and that will push us forward, which I think is still happening in crypto. So I think while obviously crypto may not have the clearest use case like AI does, I think there's a lot more people in power in AI than there are in crypto. And you would assume there's going to be some bad actors that make some decisions that crap the bed for all of us for a little bit.
Yeah.
But we definitely probably need a correction. Valuations are truly out of control, and there's just a lot of things that are going on that aren't. It feels like, and we can talk about this later. It does feel like 2021. Okay, in 2021, we're all still recovering from 2021, and to just reset and do that all over again, I don't think that's the smartest thing for us to do.
So you're saying we're in a bubble?
Yes.
Yeah.
SF is a bubble in general.
Yes. Yeah.
I live in New York. New York's a bubble in general.
Yeah.
But we are like a bubble inside the bubble.
Yeah. Well, we learned about a new word today, stresswood.
Stresswood.
Yeah. And it's important that companies can make these mistakes, that then we can see the next generation learn from that, right?
Yes. Learning, failing fast to learn makes sense. And then also, this is something from some of our LPs who are mentors, they would say, a great manager knows how to weather markets and cycles. So there's no way to chase or to run away from a crypto winner or AI winner, et cetera. You have to weather it. So if you're going to be a great CEO, or great manager, what have you, you have to be able to weather down cycles, and you have to be able to take advantage of up cycles. And that's just going to happen all throughout your career. There's no way to run from those things. And that was something I didn't understand because I've been investing purely in the up market. I guess until 2022.
Yeah. Because Harlem Capital started in 2019.
Well, closed the fund 2019.
Yeah.
Started fundraising in 2018.
Great. So I want to do just poll the audience for a second. Can we get a show of hands? Who is building in software right now? All right, okay, that's the majority, I would say. Who is building in e-commerce and in consumer? Okay, we have a few, okay, all right. And who is planning to raise or has raised venture capital? All right, okay. And who is looking at alternative forms of capital? Okay, yeah, a few, okay, great, thank you. Just wanted to get a sense of the room for us to kind of take a little dive in. So my next question for you, Brandon, is for pre-seed or seed stage founders in our audience, what can help them decide if going the VC fundraising route is right for them?
My opinion, the difference between a small business and a venture backable business. A venture backable business, you're basically going after edge case in a market that has really big incumbents, and you're trying to be the most dominant winner and player in this edge case before that incumbent comes in and copies you. And so you need money to scale super fast, to go from 0 to 100 million in revenue and be a real big player, have product market fit, have an army of employees who work for you, have a brand that talks to people when you're not in a room. That's when you raise venture capital. If you want to start a coffee shop, or if you want to start a fashion business, or some of these other things, I think it's okay to bootstrap. I think it's okay to find opportunities maybe there's SBA loans or things of that nature, or family and friends. But if you are going after this edge case and it's fast moving water, you have to get there before the other person who's also thinks it's fast moving water. You have to first figure out the idea and pressure test it with customers. And then as soon as you find that customer pool, you raise capital to accelerate what you already are doing. Not to solve any problems, but just to accelerate and scale.
Yeah. I want to plug at this moment, so if you are doing a consumer company, there are alternative forms to venture capital. That includes things like working capital off of revenue. So Mercury has a e-com working capital form of loan, and it's off of revenue. And so that's sort of for if you're selling a product off of your Instagram page and it's doing well, right? But it's not necessarily a venture backable business. Still really solid business, maybe 5Xing. And some of these companies are venture backed. And they also have this loan, so it doesn't lower their the ownership that the founder has. It doesn't change the equity for them. But it's just there's many different options if you speak to your banker or Mercury. So I just wanted to plug that. But you had mentioned, okay, so that venture capital, B2B businesses that where you're really trying to go to market as quickly as possible. Mm-hmm. That's what's most appropriate for venture backable for VC dollars. But Harlem Capital, you've also invested in some consumer businesses like Flow. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, we're trying to back the folks who are going to win and dominate markets. Yeah. While a majority of our capital goes to B2B software, vertical AI companies, there are founders who are just mystical with the way that they can understand business and sell their product that happen to not be B2B. And so we do invest in those types of folks. And so Flow is a women hygiene product. It was actually our first investment. We're on investment 65.
Oh, wow.
So Flow was our first investment. I believe it goes by Flow now. Clear Coder, she was actually out of Columbus. She went to Ohio State, OHIO. And she was a Teal Fellow, so dropped out. And she did Techstars in New York because back then, this was sometime in 2018, folks who were not in New York or San Francisco would try to do a Techstars or some type of accelerator program that's in a high priority city. Yeah. And she was the best person, hands down, that pitched at that demo day. And so we invested. And so she sells, even though it's not software, she sells B2B to big businesses to put free women's hygiene products in their bathrooms. So she now has clients like Apple or Blackstone, Twitter, Google, Microsoft, globally are customers of hers.
Oh, so it's like a little business.
It's just a very little business. And one story that I want to tell is during the pandemic, guess what happened? No one was in the office. So her business went to zero because it's not software. It's not just easily deployable via just the internet. And so what she did was she pivoted the business because she was an importer from China, a specific type of grading of an importer. She could import supplies, masks, or all these different things, tests, etc. And she actually made 50% margins. Oh, wow. And doubled her revenue for that 18 months. And then that became balance sheet capital as she turned the business back on once people went back into the office. And so that's the type of founder that we want to back, or that any investor wants to back. A founder who's not just going to throw their hands up and say, hey, well, our business is B2B when people are in the office. If people are in the office, does that mean your business goes to zero, or does that mean that you need to solve a new problem? Mm-hmm. And maybe one last point I'll put out there is that there are some people who start companies because they're bad employees, right? They don't want to work for anybody. Yes, it is true. Some people start companies because they're bad employees, or some people start companies because they're entrepreneurial. I'm not sure those two profiles are the best profiles for venture-backed companies.
How do you sniff that out?
So we have a diligence process.
Oh, whoa, what's that?
Our diligence process is a rigorous process. We put together a 20 to 30 page memo. We focus on transparency at Harlem Capital. So we actually share the memo. If we build a memo while we're diligencing your company, we will share it whether we invest or not.
I didn't know that you did that.
Yeah, we share it. I mean, investors can think that there's some secret sauce in this diligence, but they're not. Going back to my banking days, Bank of America's pitch deck was the exact same as Goldman Sachs. What was the difference? The person on the other end. Mm-hmm. This is a people's business. People want to do business with other people. And so we still haven't met a firm that actually shares their materials, but we do rigorous, really deep research on the companies. We spend time with the management team in person, multiple calls. We talk to their customers. And then we do really deep references, personal and professional. Like, we're going to find a way to talk to your old former boss. Hopefully we talk to, like, if you started a company before, your former investors, your former co-founder, all these different things. Like, we might talk to a family member. You never know. Like, we're really digging deep. In venture and startup world, like, I feel like you all may know this. It's very small. Like, somehow, some way, through LinkedIn or through something else, we know the people who probably know the really details of, like, how you perform at work, what happens if something goes wrong, how you think about decision making, are you a good manager and leader, can you story tell? There's so many long lists of things that we underwrite when we do diligence, and we definitely will pass on a deal if those things don't make sense, no matter how good the business is doing.
I love that you share the deck. Now that you've shared this publicly here, you're going to have to.
Of course.
Yeah.
Something I want to do. I recently started I relaunched my YouTube channel, and it's mainly
subscribe.
Subscribe. Is mainly about AI, and so I'm getting back into content and pushing our team on content, and I really want to do like a deep breakdown of one of our memos and why we invested or why we didn't invest, and take questions on that and just like start to debunk or like pull back the veil on what it means to get invested in by a VC.
I have one last question, and then I think I should open up the because we're actually
we're moving fast.
We're moving fast.
I have some of the questions. I'll pull up some slides.
Yeah. So
I'm sure I know exactly what, not exactly, but what people may ask.
He's got some good content. Yeah. So my last question to you is, when have you seen founders make decisions, funding decisions especially, that they've later regretted?
So I'm going to do stream of conscious and just like go through a list of things. I think the number one thing that founders might do is fundraise before they're ready. And when there's a lot of heads shaking. A lot of heads going like this. Fundraising, which might be a good time to start bringing up my slides.
Yeah. Yes.
Do I need to press the button?
I think you have the clicker. Yeah.
All right.
There
Let's
you
go.
go.
Next. Fundraising. Actually, maybe I'll go here. Fundraising is going to be the hardest thing you're ever going to do. Raising a Series A is extremely hard, right? For every 1,000 companies, literally, look at this. Only 43 make it to like this like pre-IPO stage out of every 1,000 companies. That doesn't mean you exit, doesn't mean you IPO or do all these things. That just means you got to a place where you built a big business. So like it is statistically impossible to kind of get to this place where you like raise a Series A and go to IPO. And the fact also is that only 1% of all businesses are venture capital, venture backed. Mm-hmm. So this is extremely hard to do. So fundraising before you are ready to fundraise is shooting yourself into the foot. And so there are a few things that I think that should be ready for you when you fundraise. I think the number one thing should be your traction. Like you should have very clear traction, and it should be repeatable. So for example, if I understand that I need to talk to 10 people, and out of 10 people, that converts to 2, and those 2 automatically pay this, then I just need to get 20 people. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then I try that out, and then maybe I do more than 2, maybe I do 5. Yeah. You're starting to have a repeatable motion. So that's number one, have some type of repeatable motion on your traction. Number 2 is velocity. How fast are you doing that? Like, can you go from 10 to 2 in 2 months, and then can you go from 20 to 5, converting 5 in another 2 months, versus someone who it might have took 24 months to do that. Right. So the velocity that you're doing it. And then I would say the last thing here is like, how quickly can you just turn that entire situation on? Can you start that from the first day you launched a product? Mm-hmm. So can I create something repeatable in my first 6 months? Can it be a very strong iteration in those first 6 months? Or does it take me a very long time to do it? In my opinion, I wish I actually had this slide. I don't have a slide on this, but venture deals in the last 2 years have like plummeted, the number of deals. almost 50%. But the amount of capital being deployed in seed deals has doubled. So what does that mean? The bar is much higher. So it's not even A companies getting funded. It's only A+. So if you're not an A+ company, you're going to have to find another way of funding because something's not repeatable, there's not quick velocity, and then you didn't do it in such a short period of time that people are like, wow, I have to invest in this. So people fundraising before they're ready is a big shoot. Folks over-prioritizing valuation is it's a tough issue. And then first 10 team members. Hire people who are better, faster, stronger than you. That you couldn't believe that they would come and work with you. Why would you come work with me? But I'm glad. Like, that's how it should feel. Everyone, it's almost like, I think Amazon does it, where it's like the bar raiser interview. Everyone who's added to the team has to raise the bar of our team. They have to be better than the last person that was hired. That's how you should think about co-founders and the first team members.
Nice, nice. Let's open up we have 9 minutes.
Okay. I'll be shorter on the answers. Thanks, guys.
Nick, do you want, okay, yeah.
Hi, okay, so you mentioned that the bar is higher at seed now. Can you define for us what seed means these days? And if
just like a metrics type focus.
The metrics. Also, if you could give us a pre-seed definition, because that's where I'm at right now.
Yes.
I'll love that. Thank you.
So what I would say, pre-seed is just an MVP, like getting an MVP off the ground. I do actually think pre-seed is post-product, post-revenue now with AI. And I would say it's probably 50 to maybe 150K of ARR. And you have, I'm talking from a B2B standpoint, 5 to 10 customers maybe. And it could be relatively new. But pre-seed of, hey, I have an idea, that's going to many of the PhDs. Like, hey, I have an idea, like, give me money. But right now I think like post-product, post-revenue between 50 to 150K of ARR. And like any type of like understanding of some type of like repeatability. You don't have to have velocity and all those other things, but just some type of like repeatability of where you're finding your customers. Seed, I would say, is, I mean, we're looking at seed deals that are between 250 to like 700K of ARR at seed. And they have well over double-digit customers that are between, I would say, 6 months sometimes for your oldest customers, or even close to 12 months for your oldest customers. And my last takeaway here is your job as a founder is to build leverage into your business, right? Like, you want to have leverage so that you could fundraise. You spend the least amount of time fundraising and talking to people like me who are not actually invested in the business. You do that by having leverage, which is like understanding exactly how you go get customers, exactly how fast you can do them, and then in a timeline. If you can't articulate those things quickly, I think it could be a challenge to fundraise at all.
He's not in the business of giving away money.
Yeah, I mean,
not charitably.
I mean, kids, literally, future kids need their mouths feed, right? If you want to be altruistic, is like all of our LPs they're endowments, their pension funds. So it's like people who work for the State Pension Fund of Michigan, or people who work at Vanderbilt University, or someone who's attending school there needs their dorm to be safe and strong and this, that, and other, and like we help provide that.
Another question. Oh, gentleman in the back. There's a mic here.
Like 50K in like traction. So what if you have a startup in a highly regulated environment and you need funding to get all the certifications and approvals to make it to market?
Yeah, and I'll repeat the question just in case. Pre-seed, if you're in a regulated market and you need capital to get some of these regulations, licenses, etc. I hear you. I truly hear you, and hopefully by many of the things I said today, I hope no one thinks I'm blowing smoke and that I've even sugarcoated anything. I've just been trying to be real. If you cannot convince an investor those three things, that you have something that's repeatable, you could do it in fast motion, and you can continually do this in very short time periods, then I'm not sure venture capital is the right space to be looking for funding, because that's just where it's going, mainly because of the tools that are out there. There's always tools, and maybe that's not the first business to build. Maybe you build a first business or first wedge case that just people will pay for. Like, venture is going towards, like, what are customers paying for? We want to invest in what customers are paying for. We don't want to invest in things that should exist, which is why there's a lot of stupid investment. You're like, why would someone invest in that? Because a customer wants to pay for it, not because it should exist. And that's something I personally had to get over myself, of like, hey, this makes so much sense. Why wouldn't this work? And the market has said it doesn't want it. And so what I would say is, like, find the MVP, get someone to pay for things, and if someone will buy your MVP that doesn't have all the regulations, doesn't have all the licenses, you're building something really important, because it's not even, I guess, legal, right? Or it's not SOC 2 compliant or HIPAA compliant, etc. But their pain point is so big that they will buy your, using air quotes, ugly baby, right? Like, your ugly baby is cute enough to them that they want to buy it. I want to invest in that, because there's no real reason why it should actually exist other than it is solving this hair on fire pain point better than everything else in the market. And that's what we invest in.
So, Brandon Bryant, I want to invest in someone else's ugly baby. Is that the quote?
I do think, we were talking about this earlier, like, I think storytelling, founders storytelling, VC storytelling, even LPs, and like, there's a big part of storytelling. That's a part of those three things that I shared.
Yeah.
And the other piece is, like, what story are you telling yourself? Like Harlem Capital, right? We're diverse-led, diverse-focused. We're the first ever fund to raise institutional that's diverse-led and diverse-focused. Do you know how many people told us, why would anyone do this? Then we did it, which was great. And then think about, like, how we might feel today, where, like, you have, like, administration that might not necessarily focus on that. But again, as long as we can focus on what customers are buying, and we can invest in those, and we have returns, we're going to be around. No matter what regulation or licenses or what someone says, if someone's going to pay for it, it's going to exist. And that's going back to the AI thing. If someone is going to pay for something that gives you power and you can do bad with that, they will do it. And so we have to be careful about how we, like, tell ourselves these stories, where, like, at the end of the day, we just need to, like, we have to all make money. There's no more, I wish Harlem Capital was getting free money. Man, oh, it was great when money was free. It's not coming back ever again. Like, I would just say it's not coming back. Probably got time for one more, right?
Yeah, I think so, yes.
Oh, he was raised. He was raised for a while. He's got
Mike's coming.
Hello. Works?
Yes.
So I stumbled in here while you were already talking, and you were talking about a hockey stick, bubble, AI thing. And I don't mean to argue with you right now, but it sounds like you're contradicting yourself right now when you're saying that I want to buy what customers are paying for, and what we noticed over the last year and a half. I come from AI world. I built an AI product before, gone through an acquisition. Now I'm building something else. Now, what I noticed is that there's so many companies that popped up around 23, 24. They're not existing anymore. And people are throwing money at them. Why? Because they're AI wrappers of ChatGPT. So is it safe to say that what you're saying right now, build something customers will pay for, but what if they're paying for today, but they want tomorrow because OpenAI is going to launch something, or Google is going to launch something, and they're going to die, versus investing in a company that has a much greater vision of building something with AI, of course, as it goes there, but much bigger, but they don't have any customers today.
Yeah. I think it's a good perspective. Here's what I will say, and I appreciate you bringing up the AI point. So you have this, like, whatever, cloud and software happen, right? And eventually, once everyone was adopting cloud and software, it just came down to, like, who is iterating and building things better. I think that same thing is going to happen in AI, but you have to play the game. as a founder, what are people doing that folks will invest in today? And then guess what? It's going to change next year, and then it's going to change the year after that. There's a reason why, like, Mark Zuckerberg did, I'm wearing my Meta glasses. There's a reason why he is now cool, right? He has the chain, he has this, because he knows the game. The game is not what he can choose to do. The game is what the market wants. And so what I'm saying is, like, as a founder or as an investor, you have to go after what the market wants, not what you think the future vision is. And so, like, my future vision, or like my current thing on the market is, like, if you can create revenue, cool, I'll invest. And then I will try to diligence to make sure that you can do that next iteration, where it might just go back to growth at all costs versus efficiency, like it is today. Or it might be a third new idea. Investors make shit up all the time of, like, what you have to do to get funding. And I know it's tough. That's what I'm hearing from that part. It's tough. But I would say it's like, understand the game you're playing. Understand that you're in a game. And then understand the game that you're playing. And today, the game is, if you can create revenue and someone will buy it, and you can do it in a very fast time period, everyone will be knocking on your door to give you money. Will that happen tomorrow? I don't know. But I have to live in the now, and I would strongly suggest or submit to you that you all have to also live in the now as well.
Thank you, Brandon. That's all the time we have. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys. We'll be outside to chat.